The emergency transmission burst across subspace frequencies, breaking through the usual diplomatic channels of the Galactic Council. Elder Toth leaned forward in his hovering chair, compound eyes blinking rapidly as the message replayed for the third time. The colony is falling. We cannot hold them back any longer. Please, any ships in range. The transmission dissolved into static. Around the circular chamber, representatives of 27 spacefaring civilizations murmured among themselves. None volunteered assistance. The signal originates from the Aerotech sector, reported Science Officer Nori, her delicate tendrils waving in agitation. Our nearest patrol is 17 cycles away. What about other inhabited systems nearby? Asked Elder Toth. Nori hesitated. There is only one, Elder. The system contains a Class 12 death world. The chamber fell silent. You mean? Yes. The humans of Earth. The Council had classified Earth as a death world generations ago. Its high gravity, extreme temperature variations, caustic atmosphere, and lethal radiation levels should have prevented complex life from evolving. Yet somehow it had produced humans, beings who thrived in conditions that would kill most sentient species in minutes. Contact them, Elder Toth finally ordered. We have no choice. On the bridge of the Earth Alliance vessel, Dauntless, Captain Han received the message with raised eyebrows. He turned to his executive officer. Well, Commander Park, seems we're being invited to a rescue mission. Commander Park nodded, her expression serious. First contact with the Galactic Council. This should be interesting. Neither of them realized just how interesting it would become. The Dauntless changed course immediately. Captain Han called his top officers to the command room. They gathered around the large display table, faces lit by the blue glow of star maps. The distress call comes from here. Han pointed to a blinking red dot. The Aerotech sector. We can reach it in 36 hours at maximum speed. Dr. Min, the ship's medical officer, frowned. What do we know about these aliens? Will our basic first aid even work on them? Almost nothing, Han admitted. The message from the Galactic Council was brief. They mentioned a threat, but gave few details. Security Chief Day tapped his fingers on the table. It could be a trap. Possibly, Han nodded. But Earth has been trying to make contact with the wider galactic community for decades. This is our chance. Engineer Joe spoke up next. The Dauntless wasn't built for combat. If there's fighting, we'll adapt, Han cut in firmly. Humans are good at that. Commander Park smiled slightly. It's why we survived Earth. The Dauntless accelerated to maximum speed, its engines glowing hot as stars streaked past the viewports. The crew prepared as best they could for the unknown. Some checked weapons, others medical supplies. Engineer Joe and her team worked to boost shield capacity. Captain Han sat alone in his quarters, studying the few details they had about the Galactic Council. Hundreds of species working together. Advanced technology. And yet, they had called Earth a death world, and seemed afraid to approach it. Han wondered what kind of aliens would see Earth that way. 12 hours into their journey, sensors detected something unusual. A small object traveling on a direct course toward the Dauntless. It's a probe, Lieutenant Kim announced from his station. And it's scanning us. Let it, Han ordered. We have nothing to hide. The probe circled the ship 3 times before positioning itself ahead of them. A holographic image appeared on the main bridge screen. An alien with purple skin, 4 arms, and large reflective eyes. Humans of Earth vessel. The alien spoke, its mouth moving strangely around the words. I am Scout Commander Vel of the Galactic Council. Your quick response is unexpected. Han stood straight. I am Captain Han of the Earth Alliance. We received your distress call and came to help. Just one ship. Vel's eyes blinked rapidly. We were closest. More will come if needed. The aliens seem to study them. Our records indicate humans require protective equipment in space, yet your vessel appears to have standard atmosphere and gravity. How do you survive? Han and Park exchanged confused glances. "We don't need special equipment except for vacuum exposure," Han explained. "Our ship maintains Earth normal conditions." "Earth normal," Vel repeated, sounding concerned. "That would kill most Council species instantly." A murmur went through the bridge crew. They had never considered that what was comfortable for humans might be deadly to others. "Perhaps," Han suggested carefully, "we should exchange environmental data before meeting in person." The conversation that followed shocked both sides. Humans learned they breathe what many species considered toxic gas. Their planet's gravity would crush most alien visitors. Even mild Earth weather was considered catastrophic elsewhere in the galaxy. "No wonder they call us Deathworlders," Park whispered. The probe sent technical specifications for the threat they would face: a swarm of semi-organic machines that consumed resources and multiplied rapidly. They had already destroyed 3 outposts. "These harvesters adapt quickly," Han noted, studying the data. "But they follow patterns." "Perfect patterns," Vel corrected. "They calculate the mathematically optimal response to any standard defense." Han smiled. "Then we won't be standard. Humans rarely are." As they approached the Aerotek sector, the Dauntless received new coordinates. They were directed to a massive space station where Council representatives waited. The station orbited a gas giant with swirling storms visible from space. "Adjust life support in Docking Bay 3, ordered the station controller. "Preparing for human-tolerable conditions." When the airlock opened, Captain Han led a small team onto the station. They found themselves in a specially prepared chamber. Behind transparent barriers stood a collection of aliens more diverse than humans had imagined possible. One stepped forward. Elder Toth himself. His insect-like features showed no expression that humans could read. "Captain Han." He spoke through a translator. "Thank you for coming. Though I must warn you, the enemy you face has never been defeated." Han smiled. "There's a first time for everything, Elder. That's something humans understand very well." The gathered aliens watched in silence, wondering if these strange beings from a death world might achieve what they thought impossible. The universe was about to learn what humans could do. The Dauntless dropped out of FTL on the edge of the Aerotek system, its hull still glowing from the transition. Captain Han stood on the bridge, watching as a sleek alien vessel approached. Ambassador Lith couldn't hide his shock when the humans boarded his ship without environmental suits. Even more disturbing was when Lieutenant Kim casually mentioned they breathed oxygen, a corrosive gas that would destroy Lith's respiratory system in seconds. "You consume stimulants?" Lith asked, watching in horror as Security Chief Song sipped from her steaming cup. "Coffee," she explained. "Want to try some?" The ambassador backed away. "Your kind evolved on a world with twice our standard gravity, temperature extremes that would kill most species, and predators that hunt by persistence. Earth isn't so bad," Captain Han shrugged. "Though I suppose the sharks, bears, and weather can be challenging." When Lith explained about the Void Swarm, a hive intelligence that consumed entire worlds and had never been defeated, the humans didn't flee as expected. "Sounds like we arrived just in time," Captain Han said calmly. "We'll need to know everything about their tactics." The ambassador's translator couldn't quite capture his mix of relief and terror. The meeting room on Ambassador Lith's ship was designed for many species. It had chairs of different shapes and sizes. The air was carefully filtered in each section. The humans sat in one area, while Lith and his team stayed behind a clear barrier. "Is the barrier really needed?" asked Commander Park. Lith's skin changed from blue to a pale green. "Your breath would burn my lungs. The microbes on your skin would cause disease. Even your body heat is dangerous to us." Lieutenant Kim looked at his hands with new interest. "We're toxic just by existing." "To many council races, yes," Lith confirmed. "That is why death worlds are avoided." Security Chief Song took another sip of her coffee, noting how Lith's 4 eyes followed the movement with alarm. She set the cup down and smiled. "Sorry, is this making you uncomfortable?" You are drinking a poison that would kill many intelligent species, Lith said. And you do it for pleasure. For the energy boost, Song corrected, though the taste is nice too. Captain Han turned the conversation to more important matters. Tell us about the Void Swarm. Lith touched a control panel. A 3D image appeared in the center of the room. It showed black, moving shapes that looked like a mix of machines and insects. They appeared 2 years ago in the outer systems. At first, we thought they were just another spacefaring race. Then they consumed their first planet. Consumed? Asked Dr. Min. They'd break down all matter into basic elements. They use these elements to make more of themselves. They have destroyed 7 worlds so far. The image changed to show a green planet. Then it showed the same planet covered in black shades. Finally, it showed only a dead gray world. 3 days, Lith said quietly. That's how long it took. Han studied the images carefully. How do they fight? With perfect logic. They analyze defenses and find the optimal counter. No surprise works twice. No strategy remains effective. They learn and adapt too quickly. Song leaned forward. So they're predictable in their perfection. Lith seemed confused. They are perfect in their unpredictability. No, Han shook his head. If they always choose the mathematically optimal solution, they're actually very predictable. They'll always take the best move, which is why they always win, Lith said. Han smiled. Only against opponents who play by the same rules. The humans were taken to see the defense fleet. Through the viewport, they saw hundreds of ships from different worlds. All were gathered at a safe distance from the expected path of the Void Swarm. Impressive, Han admitted, but they're all in standard formation. The most effective formation according to our battle computers, said Admiral Tav, who had joined them. His long, thin body was supported by an anti-gravity device. We have run 10,000 simulations. Engineer Joe had been quiet until now. And the swarm has run 1,000,000. They'll know exactly what you're planning. What would you suggest? Tav asked with clear doubt in his voice. Chaos, Joe said simply. Random patterns, unpredictable movements, things that don't make logical sense. Tav made a sound that the translators didn't catch. That would be suicide. For you, maybe, Han said. But humans are good at chaos. We survived on a planet that tried to kill us daily. To demonstrate their point, Captain Han invited Lith and Admiral Tav to observe a human training exercise. In a large chamber on the Dauntless, the crew had set up obstacles and targets. Watch how we move, Han suggested. The aliens watched as humans ran, jumped, and rolled through the course. They fired weapons while in motion. They changed directions suddenly. Some made moves that seemed wasteful or illogical. Why did that one slide under the barrier? Lith asked. Standing and walking around it would be more efficient. But less unexpected, Song explained. Less fun, too. Fun. Admiral Tav repeated the word like it was new to him. In combat training. Song nodded. Humans play games about survival. We enjoy the challenge. That evening, the alien leaders held a meeting. The humans were not invited, but their ship's sensors picked up increased communication traffic. They're arguing about us, Commander Park guessed. Of course they are, Han replied. We're not what they expected. Later, Lith returned to the Dauntless. He seemed different, more determined. The Void Swarm has changed course, he announced. They are heading directly for the Mira colony. 2 million people live there. How soon? Han asked. 26 hours. The defense fleet cannot arrive in time. But we can, Han said, already moving toward the command chair. Prepare for immediate departure. Lith's eyes widened. You would go alone, one ship against the swarm. We won't engage directly, Han explained as his crew rushed to their stations. We'll evacuate as many people as possible. That's still very dangerous, Lith warned. Han smiled. Ambassador, everything humans do is dangerous. That's how we survived Earth. As the Dauntless prepared to jump to FTL, Lith made a surprising decision. "I will come with you," he said, "to observe and assist." What he didn't say was that he wanted to see these Deathworlders in action. The Council needed to know exactly what humans were capable of. They might be saviors against the Void Swarm, or they might become the next great threat to the galaxy. Either way, the universe would never be the same. Within days, 3 more Earth vessels arrived, including the battle carrier Indomitable, commanded by Admiral Lee, a veteran whose face bore scars from Earth's early conflicts with the asteroid colonists. The Council representatives watched in fascination as the humans prepared for battle in ways none had considered. While Council tactics relied on calculated responses and predictable patterns, the humans embraced chaos and adaptability. The swarm anticipates standard defensive formations, Engineer Choi explained while modifying the Dauntless weapon systems, "so we won't use them." "But the simulations," protested the alien tactical officer. "Your simulations don't account for human unpredictability," Commander Park interrupted. "We evolved as ambush predators and trapmakers." Meanwhile, in the engineering bay, Dr. Kang worked on what the aliens considered obsolete technology. Fusion bombs modified with element dispersal systems. "Primitive," sniffed one Council scientist. Dr. Kang smiled. "Sometimes the simplest solution is the most effective. The swarm has never encountered nuclear physics wielded by humans." The alien observers were disturbed by how quickly humans adapted to combat conditions that would traumatize most species. Even more disturbing was their apparent enjoyment of the challenge. The space station buzzed with activity. Since the arrival of additional Earth ships, the mood had changed. Some aliens felt hope for the first time. Others worried about having so many Deathworlders in one place. Admiral Lee stepped off his shuttle onto the station. His walk was steady and confident. The scars on his face told stories of past battles. When he shook hands with Captain Han, several alien observers flinched at the casual display of physical contact. "Sorry we took so long," Lee said. "Had to convince Earth Command. This was worth sending the big guns." "Glad you made it," Han replied. "The situation is worse than we thought." They moved to the central planning room. Maps and data filled the screens. Ambassador Lith and others from the Council were waiting. "Admiral Lee," Lith greeted him. "Your arrival is most welcome." Lee nodded. "I hear you have a pest problem." The casual way he described the Void Swarm made several aliens shift uncomfortably. This was a threat that had destroyed whole worlds. Yet the humans spoke of it like it was a minor inconvenience. Engineer Choi from the Dauntless was already working on weapon modifications. She had taken apart an alien laser cannon and was rebuilding it. "What are you doing?" asked a tall, thin alien engineer. "That was perfectly calibrated." "Too perfectly," Choi replied. "The swarm knows exactly how these work. They can predict the firing pattern." "So what is your solution?" the alien asked. Choi held up a small device. "Random fluctuations. Each shot will be slightly different. Not the most efficient way to use energy, but the swarm won't be able to adapt as easily." In another section, Commander Park was training mixed teams of humans and aliens. "Move unpredictably," she instructed. "If your first instinct is to go right, go left. If you think you should retreat, sometimes you should advance." "This defies all tactical logic," complained an alien officer with blue skin and 4 arms. "Exactly," Park smiled. "Logic is what the swarm understands. We need to be illogical." The alien tried to follow her instructions. He made a move that seemed random. Park shook her head. "No, that was still calculated. You thought about the most surprising move, which makes it predictable in its own way. You need to act sometimes without thinking." "Without thinking." The alien seemed genuinely confused. "How do you act without thinking?" Park demonstrated by suddenly sprinting forward, rolling, and changing direction mid-movement. The aliens watched with a mixture of awe and horror at the display of physical agility. "Humans are strange," one whispered to another. In the engineering bay, Dr. Kang had gathered a team of both humans and open-minded aliens. They surrounded a large spherical device. "This is ancient technology by your standards," Kang explained. "A fusion bomb with special modifications." A council scientist with tentacles instead of arms examined it. "Nuclear weapons are inefficient. The swarm can absorb the radiation." "That's what we're counting on," Kang smiled. "This isn't just a bomb. It's a delivery system for something worse." She showed them a container of gray liquid. "This is a synthetic element we developed on Earth. When absorbed, it breaks down the bonds between atoms in the swarm structure. But we need them to take it in all at once, or they'll adapt." "So you use a primitive explosion to spread a poison," the scientist said, sounding impressed despite himself. "Brutal but clever." Admiral Lee gathered all team leaders for a final briefing. The plan was unlike anything the council races had considered. The human ships would not form a traditional defense line. Instead, they would scatter and use hit-and-run tactics. "The key is to never do the same thing twice," Lee explained. "Each ship will act independently following these general guidelines, not strict orders." Lith looked worried. "Without central coordination, how will you avoid chaos?" "We won't avoid it," Lee said. "We'll create it. Chaos is our ally against a mind that thinks in perfect patterns." The humans continued preparations. They modified their ships in ways that made the aliens nervous. Some removed safety systems to get more power. Others added makeshift weapons that looked dangerous to use. "Is it normal for humans to work this hard?" Lith asked Han as they watched the crews making final adjustments. "When we're motivated, yes," Han replied. "And saving a world of innocent people is very motivating." "You don't even know these people," Lith said. "They aren't human." Han looked surprised. "Does that matter? Life is life." On the final night before departure, the humans did something that confused the aliens even more. They held a party. Music played. People danced. They laughed and told jokes. "I don't understand," Lith said to Commander Park. "Tomorrow you may die. How can you celebrate?" Park handed him a safe drink adapted for his biology. "That's exactly why we celebrate. We might not get another chance." "Your species is terrifying," Lith admitted after taking a sip. Park laughed. "We get that a lot." As the ships prepared to leave the next morning, Admiral Lee gave a short speech to the combined human and alien forces. "We face an enemy that thinks it's perfect. But there's one thing the swarm doesn't understand. There's strength in imperfection. In being messy and emotional, and sometimes making bad decisions that turn out right for reasons no one can explain. That's humanity. And today, that's our advantage." The alien observers watched the human fleet depart with mixed feelings. These Deathworlders were their best hope against the swarm. But if they succeeded, the galaxy would have to come to terms with a new power. One that thrived on chaos and seemed to enjoy danger. Either way, everything was about to change. The human fleet positioned itself between the approaching swarm and the inhabited moon of New Horizon. Captain Han stood on his bridge, calm as the first wave of swarm ships emerged from subspace. "They're exactly as described," Tactical Officer Bai noted. "Hive mind coordination. Perfect formation." "Too perfect," Captain Han replied. "Execute random pattern alpha." The Earth ships broke formation, each moving in seemingly chaotic directions. The swarm, accustomed to calculated responses, hesitated momentarily, just long enough for the humans to strike. The battle that followed shocked the watching council observers. Human ships deliberately took damage to create openings. Commander Park led a fighter squadron directly into the swarm formation, implementing maneuvers that the alien pilots considered suicidal. When Lieutenant Yoon's vessel was crippled, she directed it into a collision course with a swarm node ship, ejecting with her crew at the last possible moment. "Why would she sacrifice a valuable vessel?" gasped a council commander. "She didn't see it as a sacrifice," Admiral Lee explained. "She saw an opportunity." The turning point came when Dr. Kang's modified weapons were deployed, creating a cascade effect through the swarm's connected consciousness. For the first time in recorded history, the Void Swarm began to retreat. "They're breaking apart," shouted Navigator Jin. "The hive mind is fragmenting." Captain Han allowed himself a small smile. "Continue pursuit. Don't let them regroup." The space above New Horizon glowed with weapons fire. The Void Swarm had arrived with over 300 ships. They moved as one mind, a perfect killing machine that had never known defeat. Until today. On the Council observation vessel, Ambassador Lith and other officials watched with wide eyes. The human tactics made no sense to them. Ships flew in paths that wasted fuel. They turned when they should have gone straight. They attacked when they should have defended. "They're going to get themselves killed," said one Council military expert. But they weren't dying. They were winning. Captain Han's voice came over the communication system. "Dauntless to all Earth ships. Remember the plan. No repeated moves. Keep them guessing." The swarm tried to adjust. Their ships shifted formation, attempting to trap the humans using mathematical precision. But each time they adapted, the humans changed tactics again. Commander Park's fighter squadron flew directly through a gap in the swarm's front line. Her pilots spun and rolled their small ships in ways that made the alien observers feel sick just watching. "Those G-forces should kill them," Lith remarked. "Humans evolved on a high-gravity world." A human officer explained. "We can take more punishment than you might expect." The swarm targeted Park's squadron, predicting where they would emerge. But the fighters scattered in 12 different directions instead of continuing on their course. The swarm's weapons fired into empty space. On the bridge of the Dauntless, alarms sounded as a hit broke through their shields. "Damage to Deck 3, reported Lieutenant Kim. "Fire suppression active." Captain Han didn't flinch. "Continue the attack pattern." "Sir," Bai called out, "the Indomitable is taking heavy fire. Their shields are failing." On the screen, Admiral Lee's flagship was surrounded by swarm vessels. The massive battle carrier was firing in all directions, but more enemy ships kept coming. "They've identified the command ship," Han realized. "They think taking out Lee will disrupt our coordination." "Won't it?" asked Kim. Han smiled. "They still don't understand humans." The Dauntless changed course, heading directly toward the surrounded Indomitable. 2 other Earth ships did the same from different directions. "What are they doing?" Lith asked the human officer beside him. "Working together without being told to," the officer replied proudly. The rescue attempt created a new problem for the swarm. Their perfect formation had to split to deal with multiple approaches. For a moment, gaps appeared in their attack pattern. That's when Lieutenant Yoon's ship, the Swift, took a direct hit. The smaller vessel spun out of control, trailing debris and atmosphere. "Swift is hit," came Yoon's voice over the comm. "Engines damage. Weapons offline." The Council observers expected a rescue attempt. Instead, they heard Captain Han say, "Lieutenant Yoon, can you still steer?" "Barely, sir. Using emergency thrusters." "There's a swarm command node at coordinates 227 by 184. Can you reach it?" There was a pause before Yoon answered. "Yes, sir. I can make that work." The damaged Swift changed course, now heading directly toward one of the larger swarm vessels. The aliens watching couldn't believe what they were seeing. "She's going to crash into it," Lith exclaimed. "Not exactly," the human officer said. Moments before impact, escape pods ejected from the Swift. The ship itself, now empty, continued on its collision course. The swarm vessel tried to move, but it was too late. The Swift crashed into its central section. The explosion was bigger than it should have been. She loaded the self-destruct with Dr. Kang's special package, the human officer explained. The effect spread through the swarm ship and then to others connected to it. The perfect formation began to show cracks. Admiral Lee's voice boomed across all channels. "Now, deploy Kang's weapons. From multiple Earth ships, Modified missiles launched toward the swarm. They didn't aim for direct hits. Instead, they detonated in space near groups of swarm vessels. The explosions released clouds of the gray substance Dr. Kang had developed. The swarm ships absorbed the radiation and material as they always did. That was their mistake. On their screens, the observers watched as something unprecedented happened. The swarm ships began to break apart, not from explosions, but from within. Their structures simply fell apart. The synthetic element is working, Dr. Kang reported from her station. It's disrupting their atomic bonds. What happened next amazed everyone. The remaining swarm ships began to move away from New Horizon, not in their usual perfect formation, but in disorder. They're retreating, Navigator Jin announced, his voice filled with disbelief. The Council observation deck erupted in cheers. Species that rarely showed emotion were jumping and embracing each other. Lith stood silent, his 4 eyes fixed on the screen. It worked, he said quietly. The Deathworlders actually did it. The human fleet regrouped, rescue ships collecting the escape pods from Lieutenant Yoon's crew. Admiral Lee ordered a cautious pursuit of the retreating swarm. Don't let them regroup, he commanded. Keep them separated and confused. Captain Han watched from the Dauntless as the swarm ships fled deeper into space. His ship had taken damage. His crew was tired, but they had achieved what the galaxy thought impossible. In the medical bay, Dr. Min treated wounded crew members. Some laughed despite their pain. Others already asked when they could return to duty. "You humans are remarkable," said an alien medical officer helping with the wounded. "Your bodies repair so quickly. And your spirits, you seem almost happy." "We won," a wounded engineer replied simply. "That's worth a few burns." As reports came in from all ships, the full extent of their victory became clear. The swarm had lost over half its vessels. The rest were scattered and unable to communicate as a hive. For the first time, the galaxy had a real chance against them. But the cost had been high. 2 Earth ships destroyed. Dozens of crew members dead. The Dauntless and Indomitable both needed major repairs. Yet when Admiral Lee addressed all ships, his voice was strong and proud. "Today we showed the galaxy what humans can do. We faced an enemy that thought itself perfect. We showed it that adaptability beats perfection every time. Well done, everyone. Well done." 1 month after the Battle of New Horizon, Captain Han and his crew stood before the full Galactic Council. Elder Toth addressed the assembled representatives. "For the first time, the Void Swarm has been defeated. We owe our continued existence to the humans of Earth." The chamber erupted in a mixture of celebration and uneasy murmuring. Humans were heroes, yes, but also a frightening reminder of what evolution on a death world produced. "We request formal recognition of Earth in the Galactic Council," Captain Han stated, "and a revision of the Death World classification system." Elder Toth nodded slowly. "Perhaps what we call death worlds are actually life worlds, places that forge resilience rather than weakness." As the humans prepared to return home, Dr. Kang found Ambassador Lith watching their departure preparations. "Aren't you relieved to be going back to Earth?" the ambassador asked. Dr. Kang looked thoughtful. "Earth shaped us, made us strong. But now we know there's a whole galaxy out there. I think the galaxy isn't quite ready for what humans will bring to it." "That," said Lith, "is precisely what worries the Council." Captain Han's final log entry was broadcast across human colonies. "We've taken our place among the stars. The universe now knows that when Deathworlders answer the call, even the greatest threats tremble." The grand chamber of the Galactic Council glowed with soft blue light. Thousands of representatives from across the galaxy filled the seats. Species of all shapes and sizes waited in anticipation. Many wore special breathing equipment to share the same air. Today was historic. Captain Han stood tall in his formal Earth Alliance uniform. Beside him were Commander Park, Dr. Kang, Lieutenant Kim, and other crew members who had fought at New Horizon. Admiral Lee stood slightly ahead of them. his scared face solemn. Elder Toth floated to the center platform. His compound eyes surveyed the chamber before he spoke. For 300 cycles, the Galactic Council has maintained peace among the stars. We have faced many challenges, none greater than the Void Swarm. Images appeared above the platform. Planets consumed, ships destroyed, billions lost. The swarm was perfect in its hunger and precision. Our finest minds could not defeat it. Our bravest warriors could not stop it. Elder Toth turned toward the humans. Then we called upon those we had long avoided, those from a world we deemed too dangerous to approach. We called upon humans. Murmurs filled the chamber, some with appreciation, others with concern. Their victory was not just luck. It was not just courage. It was the result of their unique evolution. On a world that would kill most of us in minutes, they learned to survive through adaptability and unpredictable thinking. Admiral Lee stepped forward when invited. The Void Swarm has retreated beyond the outer rim, he reported. Their hive mind remains fragmented. Earth Alliance ships continue to hunt isolated groups. We believe the threat is contained, though not yet eliminated. A representative from a gas giant world raised a tentacle. And what happens when this threat is gone? What then? Will humans with their warlike natures and death world strength turn on the rest of us? The question hung in the air. Captain Han looked around the chamber, seeing the fear in many alien eyes. We understand your concern, he said calmly. For thousands of years, humans fought each other on Earth. We created terrible weapons. We nearly destroyed ourselves more than once. This honest admission did not seem to ease tensions. But we learned, Han continued. We united. We grew. Yes, we are shaped by our harsh world. We can endure pain that would kill others. We can adapt to almost any environment. We enjoy challenges that seem insane to you. He paused, looking directly at the concerned representative. Yet we also write poetry. We make music. We care for the weak. We risk our lives for strangers. We came here to save people we had never met, simply because it was right. Dr. Kang stepped forward, holding up a data crystal. This contains our complete medical database, everything we know about human biology, freely given. Study us. Understand us. You'll find we're not so frightening once you know us. A ripple of surprise went through the chamber. Such openness was unexpected. Elder Toth accepted the crystal with a graceful gesture. The Council appreciates this trust. In return, we have a proposal. The vote was not unanimous. Many species still feared the Deathworlders, but enough agreed that Earth deserved recognition. Captain Han accepted the formal invitation for Earth to join the Galactic Council as a full member. More controversial was the second decision, to revisit the Deathworld classification system. Worlds that produce resilient life should not be feared but studied, Elder Toth declared. Perhaps there are lessons all species can learn from such environments. Ambassador Lith approached the humans after the ceremony. Like many aliens, he still maintained a safe distance, but his body language showed less fear than before. Earth will be sending more ships, he stated. Yes, Han confirmed. Explorers, scientists, diplomats. Soldiers too, I imagine, Lith added. Han did not deny it. The Void Swarm is still up there. And there may be other threats we don't know about yet. As the humans prepared to return to their ship, Dr. Kang found Lith watching them from across the docking bay. She approached, keeping a respectful distance. I've been meaning to ask you something, she said. Why did the Council avoid Earth for so long? Why not make contact sooner? Lith's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. There was a debate. Some wanted to study humans from afar. Others thought your kind too dangerous to ever approach. What changed your minds? Desperation, Lith admitted. And now I wonder if we waited too long. If we had known each other before the crisis, perhaps there would be less fear now. Dr. Kang smiled. It's not too late. Fear comes from not understanding. That can change with time. The Dauntless prepared for departure. Its hull still showed battle damage that would be repaired once they returned to Earth. The crew was eager to go home, to see blue skies and feel natural gravity again. Captain Han recorded his final log entry about the mission. His words would be heard on Earth and all its colonies. They would become famous throughout human space. We've taken our place among the stars. The universe now knows that when Deathworlders answer the call, even the greatest threats tremble. As the ship moved away from the Council station, Han looked at the stars on the view screen. Humanity had proven itself. But this was just the beginning. Set course for Earth, he ordered. Maximum speed. Yes, sir, Navigator Jin replied. Though I wonder, how long before we're back out here? Han smiled. Not long, I think. The galaxy just got a lot smaller. And humans have always wanted to explore what's over the next horizon. The Dauntless jumped to FTL, leaving a brief flash of light. In the council chamber, Elder Toth watched it go. And Aide approached hesitantly. Elder, was it wise to welcome them? They are so different. Toth considered the question carefully. The universe is full of dangers, he finally replied. Perhaps it is good to have dangerous allies. Better to have humans as friends than as enemies, wouldn't you agree? The aide had no answer. None was needed. The Deathworlders had saved them all. Now the galaxy would have to learn to live with them. And somewhere in the distant darkness, what remained of the Void Swarm retreated further, encountering something new. Fear. The end.